Since time began, man has done everything he can to make cars go faster. He's made bigger and bigger engines. He's added more valves, more cylinders, turbochargers, superchargers. He's even injected nitrous oxide. But he's missing the obvious: more engines. Naturally, a car with 2 engines will be faster than a car with just 1. And this is the logic that Tiger, based in Cambridgeshire, have applied when developing this, the Z100. In order to give the motorcycle engine's 2-seater twice the power, they've fitted double the number of engines. That means it's got one 900cc motorbike engine at the front with 150 brake horsepower and another one behind. So it's got 300 brake horsepower and it only weighs 565 kilograms. That's like a Porsche 911 with 700 brake. I think it's going to be very fast indeed. But it's not a new idea. In 1935, Mercedes and Auto Union were sweeping all before them in Grand Prix racing. Alfa's answer was the Bimotore, with not 1 but 2 straight-8 supercharged engines. The Bimotore was very quick, and it broke Auto Union's mile speed record with 200.66 miles an hour. But it suffered 2 major racing drawbacks: a stupendous thirst for fuel and tyres. So it didn't last too long without a pit stop. This is the only genuine car of its kind still in existence, and it's been meticulously restored over a 10-year period. It's held at the Donington Grand Prix collection. Drive from the front and rear engines goes into a differential here between my legs and is transmitted to the rear wheels by Y-shaped drive shafts. Now, these tyres had to put 540 brake horsepower down onto the road. Is it any wonder that this car had such a massive appetite for rubber? In the 60s, Alec Isigonis fitted a second engine into the back end of a Mini Moke. Aimed at army use, the Twinny Moke had extra grunt and 4-wheel drive. 20 years later, Volkswagen built a Golf with 2 1.8 16-valve engines and capable of hitting 60 in 4.6 seconds. At the 1985 Pikes Peak hill climb, it finished 3rd, but the project was taken no further. In 1998, Mercedes built 2 twin-engined A-classes for Coulthard and Hackenham. These unlikely performance cars had 4-wheel drive and 250 brake horsepower, thanks to a pair of 1.9-litre engines fitted under the floor. If the thought of a 140-mile-an-hour A-class frightens the life out of you, don't worry, they're not building anymore. However, Tiger planned to build as many of these as there are nutters to buy them. But before I scare myself stupid, let's have a look at how it works. Well, the Tiger has got 2 start buttons, 2 rev counters and 2 gear sticks. Each engine has a 6-speed sequential box linked to a transaxle which sends all that power kicking and screaming to the rear tyres. In fact, it could well be the fastest accelerating car money can buy. In July, it took just 3.11 seconds for the 0 to 60 sprint, and I can believe it. This is Tiger's latest project, the Z100 WR, with 2 1200cc engines giving 360 brake horsepower. This time it has 4-wheel drive. Utterly pointless? Maybe. But this has been designed to break the 0 to 60 car world record.
Still to come on Top Gear. The mighty GT2 from Porsche, no further introduction needed. The best of this year's motorcycle show. Before that, the competition hots up for the soft roaders. Will the best of this year's motorcycle show. Before that, the competition hots up for the soft roaders. Will the Freelander still be top of the class?
Well, Jason and I have had our say. Let's see what the next generation's up-and-coming designers think.
We've come here to the Coventry School of Art and Design to find out.
You can immediately see it's got the DNA of the original Defender, the Series 1. It has this functional, just slightly rolled off shoulder. And it's an immediate carry-through that you can see it is a Land Rover product.
It's like it's got this cartoon Tonka toy kind of character feel, don't you think?
The castellation effect carries all the way through. It's this form as you go up, over and down, and it gives a functional feel. Cars don't normally do that. A 4x4 would.
Graphically, it's really, really busy.
I think it's the strongest part of the car. I mean, if you took all the badges off, it's got things that are wrong with it. There's some details like that. That's horrid, and it's too many badges. But if you took them off, you still know it's a Freelander.
In the interior, I love the steering wheel. The seats are nice and contoured. They've got this organic shape going to them as the exterior does. But then this looks like it's kind of like straight out of a Sierra. It's very 80s. And the buttons, it's just cheaply done. And there's no need for this. For a car of this value, you expect a bit more, and you're not getting it in the inside.
But owning a Freelander has never been a bowl of cherries.
After about 2 or 3 weeks, I started finding a few teething problems with it. The aircon packed up.
The brakes just seized at the front. What we saw was nothing but smoke coming out of the front. It smelled absolutely terrible.
Terribly noisy. I found out that it wasn't so economical as I thought it would be, like fuel-wise.
When you're on a motorway and the car's just pulling away of its own accord, and when you get into traffic and it's still revving up and there's nothing you can do about it apart from switch the engine off. Now, to me, that is dangerous.
The girlfriend lost faith in it within about a week, and she used to dread going to work in it.
The exhaust went 18 months into me having the car.
Yeah.
And Land Rover kindly offered to chip in half the money. But unfortunately, half the money was more expensive than going to off-the-shelf exhaust company, yeah. And I had a bit of a strained conversation with the service manager, because she was saying, well, it's guaranteed Land Rover parts. I said, yeah, guaranteed Land Rover parts means you break after 18 months.
But I can't believe you're being so tolerant and forgiving. I mean, Land Rover must love punters like you.
I think the dealers do. For me, the dealers are actually fine, they're perfect. But Land Rover should have got the quality of the cars right before they ship them out.
Yeah, but you don't seem bothered, mate.
Everybody likes a Land Rover cachet. They like to feel that if you wanted to, I could go to Siberia. I could go to Ben Nevis.
You would seriously take this to Siberia? It would make it to Southend.
Would you go for a Land Rover again?
Probably, yes.
Really?
Yeah, it'd probably have to be a Range Rover, though, something like that.
Would you buy another one?
And yes. I know it sounds ironic, but when they are running fine, they're a lovely car. I mean, we've got 3 dogs, we put them in the back, the window drops down, which is a great idea.
It drops down intentionally or when you press the button?
It drops down intentionally, and also it has dropped down when you're going over a bump sometimes.
Despite their owners' unbelievable loyalty, there's no disguising the fact that Freelanders perform consistently badly in the JD Power survey. Far too many of them are spending too much time off-road, and we're not talking the African outback.
The main problem, believe it or not, is that Land Rover is so successful, with the company constantly fighting to match demand with supply. So, what do you look for when buying second-hand? Well, everything, it seems. Gone are the days when Land Rovers were built to be neglected. Ever since the transfer in sales from farmers to sporting execs, build quality has taken a nosedive. Even with BMW babysitting Land Rover, the dealers have been kept very busy by the Freelander's hurried birth. Avoid early 1998 cars because they were first off the production line, and avoid imports as well because they were even further down the quality scale. And imports often don't come with a 3-year guarantee. If you want space, the 5-door is the best bet for the family, although you do lose out on the 3-doors sporty softback option. Freelanders can now be had for less than 10 grand, so take your time to shop around, as many ex-fleet cars are starting to flood a once barren market. Also head for the XI version, which came with more kit, such as hill descent control, ABS and traction control as standard. But check that these, especially the glitch-ridden hill descent control, worn anti-roll bars, winding steering racks, tight electric windows and an interior from the Stevie Wonder School and Fit and Finish aren't going to be too much of a problem. Engines aren't really an issue, but clutches can be, so make sure you get them checked out, especially if the car's done over 25,000 miles. And also make sure that the car has been back to the workshop for both of its recalls, which covered handbrakes, dodgy seat mechanisms and ill-wearing engine harnesses. But it's not all bad news, with dealers often ready to clean up factory faults without a whisper. It's imperative, however, to check that there's still some time left on the warranty. If you can afford it, go for the post-September 2000 cars, because they received that all-important reworking from BMW with the TD4 and V6 engines. If you're thinking about buying new and want to know about the competitors, then stick around, because we'll be giving a full rundown later in the show.